G'day guys, Steve with Broken Sprocket, and in this video I'll be replacing the speedo cable for my HJ47 Landcruiser. So let's get started. Okay, I have the new speedo cable here. This section here will be going into the gearbox and this section will be going into the back of the speedometer. Now this is my old piece here and you can see that it's snapped, and it snapped right about where that join there is. So it needs to be replaced. So we'll get underneath the car, have a look at the gearbox and how it comes off. Okay, here we are underneath the car, and this one here is your speedo cable. And you can see you just unscrew that piece there. This one here is your handbrake. Now we need this, follow this cable and go through all of these little routes that it has. There's a heat shield up there that it must be on the correct side of, so follow it all the way. And here it is on the other side into the engine bay here. You must make sure it goes past that heat shield. My one's been cable tied to this pipe here, but it also goes through this holder, and then it goes into the firewall to where the back of the speedo is. So we'll remove this piece here up to here, and then we'll go to the inside of the vehicle. Okay, this simply just turns off. I've already loosened this one up, and it was quite loose. But sometimes you may need to use some multi-grips or something just to loosen it, but in my case I didn't have to, so simply unscrew this and pop it out like that, and then disconnect it from all these sections here, and we'll meet on the other side of the engine bay. Okay, my one has been cable tied here, so I'll just snip that off. That's not a problem. Now we need to feed it up through this section here. And it is a bit tied up against that heat shield, so you just pop it off like this here, unclip it from this holder, and we'll have it just sit there until we disconnect it from the other side of the dash. Okay, now on the inside of the vehicle, we have to undo 2 screws, or you don't have to, you can reach up from this side and get to the end of this here. Now what you've got to do is push on this and just pull. What I'll do, because this is still in the dash, is I'll demonstrate what this is like on a spare dash that I have over here. Okay, this is a second dash that I have, not the one in the vehicle, and this is the new speedo cable connected to it. So what you'll have inside the vehicle is your speedo cable will be connected to this, and it can't come off. So you have to push on this little lever here, which will open that up, and then you can easily slide it off. And you can see here on the back of the speedo there's a little groove, and that is what this here clicks into. So you should be able to, let me get this back in, you should be able to get your hand up in between the dash somehow and just push on that lever and simply pull out. Or you may need to loosen the screws and pull it forward a little bit, and you might be able to get your hand in this way. But just see how you go. Depends on how big your hands are and how tight the dash is behind your vehicle. But that's it, it just clips, slides off. Now with it disconnected from my speedometer, you just get this rubber grommet and take it out. It's replaced with a brand new one, and your speedo cable should, with a little bit of jiggling. Mine's hooked up, so I'll have a look on the inside, see where that's stuck. Okay, mine was stuck behind a little bit of wire, and there it is out. And I can tell you now that that bend there isn't supposed to be like that, and that's probably why my cable snapped right at that point, because it was obviously under some sort of stress underneath the dash. So that's the reason why I'm replacing my one. Okay, you can see the new one here still has the cable in it, and you can see the bend in the old one, and exactly where it snapped is right at the bend. So when you install it, be very careful not to bend your cable, and make sure that it is a direct line into the back of the speedometer and not going around some kind of bend. I've only had the vehicle on the road for a very short time and it snapped pretty quickly, so maybe the old owner put this back in there and bent it and wasn't aware, but obviously it's not going to last too long if it has a sharp bend in it, so make sure it goes directly into the back of the speedo with no interruptions. Okay, I'm ready to install this new one now. Now, you simply just put this piece through into the firewall and hook this rubber grommet up so that no water and dust and stuff like that can get through that gap. And I'm going to connect it directly to the back of the speedometer. I'll show you on the one that's out here so it's easy to see, not trying to get in the back of this one because the camera is just not going to show it. Okay, to connect it, this here is the broken piece, but you can see that it's a little bit squared off. So the back section in here is square. So you just have to, it won't go in like that. So you just have to wiggle it around a little bit until that piece will slide into the square. And as you do, you just wiggle it about a bit. There we go. And as simple as that, it pushes on very easily, and that's it. It will be installed. Just make sure that this has no interruptions behind the dash and it's fairly square so that it doesn't have a bend in it and snap the cable like my one did. Okay, I now have my speedo connected to the back of the speedometer here, and I found it easier if I just keep the dash bolted in and get my hand way up underneath here and reach to the back and just push it on. It was quite easy. Now this section here connects to the gearbox, and you can see if you give it a bit of a turn, it doesn't take much effort. It's very loose and free, so I know that it doesn't have a problem, and it moves my speedo. Okay, I just need to route this the way it came out into all the connections, and also make sure it goes on the correct side of that heat shield that runs along the gearbox, because you don't want the cable to burn, or you'll be back doing the same thing again in another couple of weeks. Alright, this here is the old one I took out. This is the piece that goes into the gearbox. So you just need to make sure that that little keyway there goes into the same section on your gearbox, and that will slide in and that will make that turn. If that's not in correct position, you'll have trouble to get it in. So just line that up properly. Okay, now with my speedo cable connected, I'm finding that I've got a little bit too much cable here, so all I'll do is I'll feed that up into the engine bay more and secure it so that nothing is loose hanging down, because the last thing you want on a four-wheel drive is loose cables hanging down here where they can get hung up on things. So I'll pull that up nice and tight so it's sitting back up here somewhere. Well, there you have it, guys. The speedo cable is now working again on the HJ47. I don't know if anyone has noticed, but how little K's the J07 has on it. That's because it wasn't actually clocking up any kilometers. Now what I've had to do is pull the whole thing apart and fix all of the odometer section on it. Now I probably will do a video on that, because I've got 3 of these dash clusters and none of them worked. None of them clocked up any K's, so that means I've got 3 other ones that I can also fix. So I might do a video on that and how to reset all of those odometers and get them to actually work, because the only one that was spinning around was the little white one and none of the others were going, so I wasn't getting any K's up on the car, which means I didn't know what sort of distances I was traveling, and I also didn't know when the vehicle would be up for a service. So I might do a video on that as well. But as for the end of this video, that is it. The speedo works, and I'll see you in the next video.